simply introduce yourself and start at the very beginning, what year it was, and why you went vegan, how you got into it, and then what happened and why you quit.
Yeah, sure. So I'm 23 years old by now, and like my interest in health and diet and everything started about 2 years ago. When I was living like a very stressful life, I was working out every day, drinking alcohol a lot and stuff. So I was also working like 100% at quite a stressful job. So at some point it just all got too much, I think, and my body started not working. Like my body stopped working properly, and I got these pains, these joint pains, and I was always tired. And then I went to see some doctors, and they took some tests and were like, "Yeah, we can't find anything. We can't do anything to help you. Let's just call it fibromyalgia then." And I started researching a bit on fibromyalgia, read some books, and some folks recommended a ketogenic diet for fibromyalgia. And so I started doing that 2 years ago. And quite instantly, I felt a lot better. Like my pain was greatly reduced, and my acne also went completely away, which I had been struggling with for years. Um, but I was eating a pretty bad keto diet at the time, like lots of junk food like cheese and processed meats and stuff. So I did that for like half a year, and I always lost weight. I lost a lot of weight. Like when I started, I'm 180 tall, and when I started, I was 70 kilo. And so I was like half a year on keto, and I lost like 10 kilo in that time. And so I was, uh, but I think it was just due to me not eating enough fat. Most of the time, it was just, I didn't really add extra fat to my meat and all. And I stopped eating nuts at some point because I couldn't really digest them. And also, I didn't really like the coconut oil. I still don't like the taste and everything. So yeah, most of the time I was just sticking to fatty meats like chicken legs and stuff like that, which probably wasn't enough fat, but not so important. So after half a year, I decided I wanted to try to introduce some carbs again, which was a disaster because like all my pain came back instantly. My digestion was so fucked. And I tried to introduce like the good carbs like sweet potatoes and stuff, but I just totally couldn't handle it. So I I started researching a little more. I got into the GAPS diet. Like I discovered, yeah, these whole theories about gut health and stuff. And then I actually implemented the GAPS diet. Like started with the introduction diet, where you basically just have these bone broths for a while. And I was just really not satisfied. I was always hungry. Um, so when I made the bone broths, I would always like take out the meat and eat all of it. So sometimes like 8 chicken wings, legs at a time or something. And I was like, dude, like this is completely abnormal. You've got an eating disorder or something. But in reality, it was probably just my body craving that protein and fat because I was already very thin. But I blamed the diet again. I was like, yeah, this protocol is probably not working. I need to find something else that's better. So I started researching a bit, and then I got into veganism, like which was probably the worst thing that could have happened to me. But first I just cut out the meat, and then I just ate soups, like vegetable soups, because my digestion was really bad. So I just ate vegetable soups with eggs sometimes, and at one point I cut out even the eggs. So basically then I was a lacto vegetarian. I just ate vegetables and some fermented dairy products. And then at some point I started researching like veganism a little more, and I got into raw veganism, which was horrible. So I yeah, read all these success stories of people who cured like uh, like every possible illness on a raw vegan diet, and got into 80-10-10, the book by Doug Graham, and it's basically a fruitarian diet with a little salad. So for 2 months, I was just eating fruits all day long and then a salad at night. But the fruit was horrible because, my blood sugar was so bad. It had always been. And so the fruit caused me terrible pain. And the salads I couldn't digest whatsoever. Like, they made me so constipated. I was constipated for weeks at times. And then I got into Dr. Moore's. I think another guest on one of your videos has talked about him. And yeah, he's just like an herbal, like an herbal doctor. He calls himself a doctor, but I think he isn't actually, a certified doctor. So he sells these herbal products and tells all the people to eat nothing but fruit. So I started doing that, and it's really like a horrible sect or something. It's really a cult. And then you got these Facebook groups and everything where you can ask questions. And I often did that. So I was writing like, yeah, guys, I started doing this. I'm eating lots of fruits and I'm feeling horrible. And everyone was always just like, yeah, it's detox, push through it. It will get better. But really, it didn't get better. Like, the pain went away. But I think that my nervous system was already so fucked up because it didn't have enough fat and enough protein. So it was getting just completely shut down, and to the point where I didn't even feel any pain anymore. So I thought like, yeah, I'm making some progress, but I lost so much weight. Like I told you when I started, I was like 60 kilo. My weight had been pretty much stable during the gaps time. And then and then it went down like so fast when I went on this fruit diet, and I think within like 6 months I lost about 10 more kilo. So it was down to 50, which is extremely underweight already. And yeah, I also got into fasting. I did, these people in that Dr. Moore's group, they all recommend dry fasting. They all say you should dry fast for like 16 hours every day, which is crazy, really. And I did that for a while, and it made me just lose so much more weight. So people got really worried, like the people around me, my mother and relatives and stuff. And I just started getting quite paranoid, I think it also has to do with your brain not getting the nutrients and everything, because that's something I hear from a lot of vegans, that they get really paranoid. And
Mm.
so in my case, it got so bad, like I was always scared to death. I was like, yeah, if my relatives see me, they will call the police or something and tell them I have an eating disorder, which, looking back, like, veganism is the worst eating disorder of them all. But um, yeah, and then I was just so scared of being delivered to like a mental hospital or something. And that was like a fear that was always around, and maybe was even justified. But I couldn't sleep anymore. Basically, when I slept 2 or 3 hours a night, I could call myself lucky. And yeah, at some point I just decided to call it quits. I was like, no, I'm getting out of here. People here just want to kill me. They don't understand detoxification and shit like that. So, so I started looking around, and I started looking for fruitarian communities around the world. And then I found two such communities in Spain. And I went there, I traveled there, I told my mom, hey, I'm going on holiday to Spain. And then I went to these communities and spent a few days there in both, but actually just something didn't feel right because the people there were like completely fucked in the head. They were so weird, all of them, and like behaving, like really autistic in a way. So, and I just couldn't, I just felt so strange being around them and being with them. So it just didn't feel right. These people just I think they'd been doing this stuff even way longer than I, and so maybe, yeah, I wasn't quite as messed up as they were. But long story short, I went back home and decided to like live a normal life while being a raw vegan, um, which didn't work, of course, because I couldn't find a job given how skinny I was, and still all the relatives and such were still extremely worried about me. And then like a month later, I like lost more and more weight. So I decided again that it was time to flee. And I'd been to these fruitarian communities and had seen that this was not the place for me, basically. So I was like, yeah, maybe there is no place for me in this world after all. So I decided that I would just go to Southern Europe and become a wild fruitarian. Like that's like how messed up my brain was at that state. I really thought I could just I could just walk around there in Italy or something and eat wild fruit all year long and sleep outside. I was completely out of my head, and I was like, yeah, if it fails, I can just fast myself to death. It won't be painful, I think. And then I went to Sardinia, which for the people who don't know is an island in Italy. And I just was there on the campground where it was really cheap, and I was there and I was eating nothing but watermelons for like 2 weeks. Just just every day I would go from the campground to the little village and buy 2 watermelons, and then I would eat these. And every time I ate one, I got massive panic attacks because it fucked my blood sugar so badly, and I couldn't sleep at night and everything. So basically, like for 2 weeks, I was living off just watermelons and some orange juice, which I got at the local restaurant. And then I got these really bad cravings, like when I walked past the pizza store and as I smelled the pizza, I was like, no, I need to eat that now. Or when I saw people like having a barbecue at the campground and eating steak and fish, I was craving that like so much, but I was like, no, it's bad. I'm not allowed to eat it. And then like one or two times, I actually gave in, and one time I had a pizza with sardines, and I actually felt kind of good after eating that, like physically, but mentally I was just getting completely upset, and it was like, yeah, now all the detox that I've done has been in vain and stuff. So I tried to water fast, like as an act of repentance, and but it really didn't work. I got hungry again, so I started eating the melons again. And it was really a vicious cycle that I at some point I decided to yeah to go home again, and I did that, and of course I was even skinnier than after my first flight. And looking back, it's really a miracle that nobody called the police or something on me, because there were like I was like just eating fruit and nothing else for like 4 or 5 or even 6 months. And I was getting skinnier and skinnier, and I looked so horrible. I mean, I could send you a few pictures if you like, so you can link them or something.
Hmm.
But I really looked like a skeleton. I was down to um like at, and then came the next part. That's actually something I need to tell. I need to tell too, because I went back home and I was like, yeah, now it's serious. Like I'm gonna find a job and everything. I'll try everything. And then I actually found a job at an old people's home, and which was very, very stressful because I don't really have a qualification. Like I'm not trained as a nurse or whatever. So I was just the guy who had to do all the little jobs that no one else wants to do, you know. And so it was quite stressful. I had to start every day. I had to leave my house at 6 a.m. every morning and came back at like 8 p.m. in the evening and was working all day. It was quite well paid, and so I didn't have time to eat. That was the fucked up thing, because when I was a fruitarian, I always ate these huge mono meals of like 6 mangoes or something, And these would fuck my blood sugar so badly that I just got extremely anxious and yeah, really got these panic attacks after eating so much sugar every time. And so I always ate very slowly because someone like in the group had told me that's better for your blood sugar and everything. And so I didn't really have time to eat when I was doing that job. And then I decided I wanted to do a juice fast because my digestion was fucked up anyways. And then every morning I got up at like 4 a.m. because I refused to drink juice that had been in the fridge for like 10 hours because then all the enzymes and the energy would be dead and such. And and then every morning I got up at 4 p.m. a.m. and squeezed myself some orange juice or something, and I took that to work. And then when I was working, like I was always carrying around this bottle of juice with me, and each 5 minutes I would take a sip to like give myself that energy kick again with the sugar. So I somehow managed to do that job for like 2 or 3 weeks. But then I started to crash because my weight dropped again. Like when I did that juice fast, I consumed maybe like 1,000 calories a day in the form of juices and not more. But at that point, my body was so starved, I didn't even really feel hunger anymore, which was the fucked up thing. And yeah, then so I decided to quit the job because I was just, I couldn't do it anymore. I also with the dry fasting and everything. Like while doing that job, I sometimes did like 20-hour dry fast and stuff. And I was so fucked and I was always really angry and annoyed. And yeah, I was being really rude to everyone, like the old people in that institution and to my coworkers and everything. So things didn't really work out and I quit the job, but I earned quite a lot of money. I earned like $2,000, like Franken, which is I think like $2,500. And I was like, yeah, this needs to be enough. I can't save up any more money because I won't find another job because I was so skinny already. I was like 43 or 42 kilos at the end of the juice fast, and I looked absolutely horrible. I was so emaciated and still, and like I was posting pictures on the Dr. Morse group, and still people were telling me like, yeah, it's just detox, push through it, go on with the juices. It's malabsorption. It's because you still have fecal matter in your gut and you can't absorb the things properly. It's just bullshit like that. And I was still believing it. So I was like, yeah, I need to find a way to continue with the juicing. And at home, my mom was getting really worried because I was so skinny and I was basically not eating anymore. I was just drinking juices all day long. So she was like, yeah, son, are you not eating anymore? And I was like, no, I'm on a juice fast. And I tried to explain everything to her. And of course, she understood that I was really fucked in my head and that it was all complete hogwash. And so she was like, yeah, you start eating now or I will call the police. And then I was like, fuck, yeah, I'm so skinny. If she calls them, they will actually take me in. I did still realize that. So I decided to break the juice fast and watch some videos on like how to break a juice fast properly. And then I soaked some figs, like dried figs, and I soaked them overnight and I ate that the next day. So I broke my juice fast after 24 days of not eating and and even not getting enough calories in with the juices. So I ate these figs and like within 20 minutes they came out again because my digestion was like so fucked. And for the rest of the day I just continued with the juicing. I just wanted to juice. I didn't want to do anything else. I didn't want to eat. And so then I started eating like watermelon and stuff again just so I could tell my mom, hey, see, I'm eating. But I still drank a lot of juice, and that was everything I was thinking about was just how I could find a way to make it possible for me to go on with the juicing. And then the really crazy shit happened, because when you got someone who's so fucked in the head and has got $2,500 on the side and like no obligations in life, then the really fucked up shit starts to happen. And I decided, like, I started asking around in the group, like, guys, do you have any suggestions? Where could I go? Where could I continue my juicing? And then, like, some guy from Germany actually said I could come to him and juice there, but this didn't work out, so I needed to find another way. And I was like, yeah, in Germany, the police could still find me and arrest me for juicing. I mean, that's just how paranoid I was getting on this fucking crazy. And then actually and then I was starting to look around and like, where in the world can I get good fruits and good quality for very cheap prices? And then I started looking at like South Asia and South America. And I think the flight to Asia was cheaper, so I opted for that. And I got in contact with some fruitarians in Chiang Mai. And then I just flew there, just booked my flight to Chiang Mai. Didn't tell, I like I told my mom, hey, I'm going to visit a friend in Germany, which I did. I went to this other fruitarian guy in Germany. And then I took the plane from there, because I was so scared that if I took the plane in Switzerland, they would find out and get me. I went to Germany, and from there I went to Chiang Mai, and there, I met up with these two fruitarian guys who lived like in an old hotel, little outside of the center. And this was a really weird thing. Like, there was this hotel, and it was completely empty. It was extremely cheap. You could basically live there for, I think, €100 a month and have a room and everything, extremely cheap. And these two guys were living there, and basically nobody else. And it was so weird, like, looking back. But they were really kind to me. They like showed me around, showed me the fruit market and everything. And yeah, at first everything seemed really nice. And I could start like to choose again. I always I didn't have a juicer there in Thailand. I just got to the market every day and bought 3 watermelons. And then I made juice with these and a nut milk bag. And I just drank that all the time. I actually bought myself a refrigerator just to keep my juices cool. Because I refused to drink juice that was like body temperature. I always wanted like really cool juice. Because the Dr. Morse always said, yeah, heat is acidic. And to alkalize the body, you need to cool it. So I was like, yeah, I need to drink my juice as cold as possible. So I always put them in the freezer and took them out right before they would freeze, so the enzymes wouldn't get destroyed. They would still be as cold as possible. Like, I was completely fucked. And so I did that juicing again, and it made me really paranoid again, because every time I juice, I get like so paranoid because it fucks my blood sugar probably. And then I started getting afraid of the 2 other guys. I was like, yeah, maybe they invited me here just so they can rob and kill me. And I was getting so scared. And I couldn't sleep anymore. I was just lying awake all night and drinking juice. So I was drinking like 4 liters of juice a day, and then some coconut water and nothing else. And then I lay awake all night and thought about how the other guys would come and kill me and take away my stuff. And then I made escape plans, like I could jump down from the balcony and maybe then I could get out and stuff. And then I was just so stressed all the time. And then I started looking up other hotels, and then like at a point where I was sure that the other 2 guys were sleeping, I just packed all my stuff and ran out of the hotel and booked another hotel. And I just, by taxi, I went there and I checked in at like 1 a.m. And the hotel people were just looking at me like I was completely crazy, which I was. And so, yeah, the 2 fruitarians didn't know where I was, and I felt kind of safe. So I was at that other hotel, which was way more expensive, but still, I didn't care anymore. I just cared about my juices and my fruits. And so I was there and I was feeling kind of secure because, the hotel was more expensive. It felt a little more guarded. And so I was there and started doing juices again. And I also ate some fruit, which I could get for free at the hotel.
Mm.
Like in the morning, they always had some papaya and I could eat that for free. So I got it. And then, yeah, things were kind of calming down. Like every day I went to the market, bought fruit, ate the fruit or made juice, and that was basically my life. And then at some point something bad happened, and that triggered my paranoia big time again. Because I was driving to the market, they had like these really old bicycles at the hotel that you could rent. And they were completely shitty. Like they didn't have any gears, you could hardly use the brakes, like completely fucked bicycles. And I always used these to make my shoppings. And so when I came back from the market, um, I actually crashed with a Thai woman on a motorcycle. And I was like my backpack was really heavy. I was carrying around like 3 watermelons and some coconuts or something. And she didn't see me, and so we crashed. And in Thailand, nobody is wearing helmets when they're riding motorbikes. So there was this woman on the bike with no helmet. And the bad thing is, she was actually um, like her daughter was with her, and she was carrying that daughter like a girl who was maybe 3 years old, and she was carrying the daughter like on her arm, and with the other arm she was steering, and so we crashed, and the daughter just flew through the air and crashed on the concrete, and the Thai woman as well, and me as well, and, and blood everywhere and stuff. It was horrible, and I wasn't very severely injured. I just had some flesh wounds, but yeah, nothing too dangerous. And the woman also wasn't hurt too badly. But the problem is that the girl it's not fun. No, it's really not funny. But the girl really crashed on her head, so she had like a big wound in her head, and it looked really horrible. And like she didn't even cry anymore. She was just like completely scared. And so that Thai woman was like, "Yeah, I need to pay her. I can't remember, but it was quite a lot. I need to pay her that amount of money, or she will call the police." And I was like, "Yeah, fuck. If the police comes, I'm fucked because I don't speak Thai, and then they will think it's my fault, the accident, and then they will take me to jail, and in jail I can choose, and then I will die." So that was really like my main fear that I wouldn't even, at that point, I didn't even care if they would send me to jail as long as there was fruit. I was just worried about that. Um, but so I paid her the money and she didn't call the police and she went home and everything. And I guess like everything would have been fine at that point. But I was so paranoid that I couldn't, like I started getting sleepless again and thinking, yeah, maybe she will still call the police to get even more money and stuff. And so I had booked the hotel for 14 days, but after just like 5 days, I decided like, no, fuck, I need to get out of Thailand. Police will get me and will put me in the jail. And yeah, so I booked the next flight to Switzerland, and I left Thailand after like 2 weeks. And so I was back in Switzerland, like my third escape that had failed. And I just still didn't realize how fucking crazy I was and how fucking crazy this fruit diet was. And so I was, and then came like the day of change, you could call it, or like, yeah, the magical moment. And then I was in Switzerland, I was back at the airport, and in the plane you can't bring liquids with you.
Yeah.
So so when I was on the plane, I was always fasting, and I was dry fasting because I refused to drink any water. I was like, yeah, you can't process that if it's just water, which is probably true. So I was always like, yeah, I would just fast on the plane, and I did. So it was like a 20-hour flight from Thailand back to Switzerland, and I just fasted. And then when I came back to the airport, I was in Zurich in Switzerland. I was so fucking hungry. And then I was like, yeah, I need to get something. I need to get some juice. And then I actually found a bar where they had orange juice, and I gulped down the orange juice, and then I got some more orange juice. It was fresh pressed, but still, it had that really weird aftertaste. Like I think they had used some chemicals on the peel, so it was really bitter. And so I drank that as well because I was so thirsty and so hungry. And then I went home. You know, I don't live in Zurich. I live a little more to the northeast. And then I went home by train. And already in the train, I started feeling kind of unwell, probably from that juice. And then the last few kilometers to my house were by bus. And then I started to get like really bad stomach aches. And I was like, no, I need to go to the toilet now. I'm feeling so sick. And I got out of the bus. Um, then I just shat myself. It's so fucking embarrassing, but I just couldn't hold it anymore. And then I went to a near restaurant and was like, hey, can I use your toilet real quick? And I just didn't make it to the toilet. Like it just came out. It was so fucking embarrassing. And um, then I had to walk home and I just felt like dying. And yeah, but actually, when I was home, I still felt like, yeah, fruit is the only physiological nutrition for humans. We are frugivores and we need that to detoxify and everything. So I was basically still on this fucked path. And, in Thailand, I had started making videos, like vlog videos, where I talked about my traveling and about detoxification and fruitarianism and stupid things. And people in that Dr. Moore's group really liked these videos. So when I was home, of course, my mother told me, "Yeah, you're even skinnier than before," and then now I'm definitely calling police and such. And I was like, "Yeah, fuck, I can't escape anymore because I didn't have any money left." So I made a video, like a call for help. And I was like, yeah, people, please help me. I do nothing wrong. I just want to eat fruit and juice. And my mom wants to send me to a clinic. Please help me. And then some people, I think, started to realize that I was pretty fucked. And also people that had supported me before. And then one guy actually, and there were a lot of, like hate comments, of course. And some people just said like, yeah, dude, start eating meat again. You're starving. And I was just blocking all of these people. And then one guy actually wrote, um, check out a YouTuber called Sverige. And, because he didn't mention anything about meat in the comment, I actually got kind of curious. So I actually went to YouTube and watched some of your videos. And I was like, yeah, fuck. This dude actually seems to have got it right. Like maybe I was wrong all along. So it really started to change my mind. And then I was like, yeah, I'm fucked. If I go on with the fruit protocol and everything, I will die anyways. So I might as well try eating meat again. And so yeah, so like the next day I just went to the steakhouse and ordered 3 ribeyes and ate that. And I felt so much better after that. And yeah, I think that pretty much saved my life, like the guy who mentioned you in the comments, because then I really started getting into animal products again, ate lots of dairy and eggs and meat. And so I think it's now been a month or so, and I'm still really fucked, like physically and mentally, but I'm feeling a lot better, and I've gained back like 15 kilograms in 3 weeks, which is a real lot. So of course, I was really happy about that. My family members and everyone, they were also seeing, yeah, he's doing something different now. and it seems to be working. So yeah,
Do you
that's great.
remember which video of mine you watched?
I don't know what the first one was.
Okay.
Um, but I think I'd seen one of your videos like a few months before. Like I think it was the one on salt.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Uh, just that one, but I didn't really like watch any more of them.
Yeah.
No, and then yeah, I think the one who mentioned you in the comments also said I should check you out because you had a similar story,
Mm.
like with the fasting and
Yeah,
the
I could really
weight.
relate. That's why I had to laugh because of how much I could relate to a lot of this.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
so
actually,
crazy. This is the
yeah. When
craziest
I
story
watched
I've
your
heard.
videos on the fasting and sun gazing
Yeah.
stuff, so I was really like, this dude has made the same mistakes as me, so maybe I can now learn from him how to correct them. Yeah, like because
Yeah.
um yeah, so I just tried my best to follow your stuff because it was like I've tried so much. Worst thing that can happen is that I die, and I didn't die, and I feel way better now.
Mm.
So, and I mean, the fucked up thing is that I was actually on such a good track, like 1.5 years ago when I was getting into the keto diet and gaps and everything, and still they were able to brainwash me and trick me into thinking veganism was right after all. That's actually really something that I need to be, I should really be angry at myself for being so stupid, but I think you never know until you've tried it yourself.
Do you believe this whole liquidarian thing is related to us only wanting to drink blood and that's how we would be liquidarian? This whole
Th-
not wanting to eat solid food thing?
Yeah, that's really interesting, actually. Um, I think it's more, I think when you're a fruitarian, especially, you're basically starving. It's a form of fasting, of starvation. And I always realized that there were huge conspiracies out there, like with what they are feeding the people and stuff, and how the medical system treats us. So I think already as a fruitarian, I kind of understood that our world is really fucked and our system and everything, with the mind control and the brainwash and stuff. So, but I was getting so scared of the whole system that part of me was like, yeah, you can't defeat them. It's better to just give up on life. And I think that's the whole point of fruitarianism. I think deep inside, when you're a fruitarian or you're choosing, you're trying to kill yourself on a very, I think it's a subconscious level, but it's really like the wish for death in a sense, for a peaceful death. Because I think if you starve yourself, that's really the most painless way of dying because at some point your nervous system just stops working and you're not feeling pain anymore
Mm.
and then you just fall asleep and you don't need to fight anymore. And that I think that's why I really got into fasting and fruit eating and yeah, like juicing and all of that.
Mm.
I think it's more of like that aspect. And maybe also like the thought of being free from it all. So you don't have to worry about food anymore. Yeah, you're just so much more independent.
Yeah.
But yeah, but I don't know. Maybe on the subconscious level, it might be related to the blood thing as well. Really not sure.
Mm-hmm. What do you believe is the future of veganism?
Hard to tell. Um, I think right now it seems like it's getting more popular. Like I see it in our town, there are new vegan shops popping up like every week almost.
Okay.
And it seems to be like kind of trendy, but yeah, it's hard to say because I think we need more people like you who spread awareness on how dangerous it actually is. Because people are just buying into it. Many are doing it for the ethical reasons also,
Mm.
which I never did. But I think most vegans are actually just doing it for the animals and such. So it's kind of dangerous because they don't research the whole physiological side. They think of veganism more as a moral
Yeah.
thing than as a health thing. So they don't even think that there could be health complications, I think.
Mm.
And yeah, but maybe like, or I hope that in the future people will just realize what it does to your body. Also, one last thing I wanted to add about fruitarianism. I think the point is with fruitarianism, when you compare it to like the normal veganism, where you eat like the stupid soy products and shit, I think like this your standard vegan diet with grains and tofu and soybeans and shit like that is more dangerous than fruitarianism. Because on a normal vegan diet, so to speak, you both starve yourself because obviously you can't absorb the proteins from tofu and stuff and all the nutrients. And but you also like um, toxify or you also take in so many toxins like with the grains and everything. And when you're a fruitarian, you basically just starve yourself, but don't take in a lot of toxic stuff. You know what I mean?
Mm.
Like it's basically just starvation, whereas regular veganism is starvation plus toxification.
Right.
So
Yeah.
I think it's less dangerous, but still very dangerous.
I
Yeah.
would say it's more dangerous because they don't get a lot of nutrients, B12, vitamin A, vitamin D, blah blah blah, and they don't notice it for a longer time because they do get something out of it, so they can starve themselves for a bit longer than fruitarians. But they end up even worse because they don't notice that they starve themselves. Fruitarians notice it much quicker.
Yeah, because you will lose the weight quicker.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, that's probably true.
Mm.
And I think it might be even beneficial for like a very short period of time, like to go on a fruit fast or something as it, but only assuming you have a healthy weight, like you're overweight or something. Like one guy actually told me that people like in the north, the Eskimos or something, in the winter they eat only meat and fish and stuff, and in summer they eat mainly fruit, berries and such.
Haven't heard of
So I
that.
was, yeah,
Okay.
maybe, yeah, I was just thinking maybe they were like building up in the winter and then detoxifying in the summer, but I'm really not sure about that anymore.
Do
I
you
just
still have the YouTube channel and the videos from Thailand?
no,
No?
I actually deleted all of them.
Uh, I would like to see
I was,
them.
yeah, maybe I can find one that I still have on my iPad and something or something.
Uh,
But yeah, when I look at them, I'm just like, yeah, that was so crazy.
yeah, okay.
I'm just glad that I somehow managed to come back without being sent to an institution or anything.
Yeah,
And I
man.
think it was really extremely close.
Yeah, for
Uh,
sure.
yeah, and because there they actually kill you, and I knew that back then when I was a fruitarian already, because yeah, and so that's why I was getting so scared.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, looking back, my fear and paranoia was actually kind of justified.
Mm. When I was really underweight, they kept taking my blood in the hospital all the time. They just kept taking it. They were just killing me, literally, and they don't even realize it.
Yeah,
For
that
tests, supposedly, but how many tests do you need? You just take blood all the time, just so much.
yeah, sure.
Yeah,
And I mean that your body will need even more energy
yeah.
to produce the blood again,
Which I
to
didn't get
restore
because they were starving me. They didn't even give me food. It's just absolute death.
fucking.
They kill people in hospitals. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, also when I was at that old people's home, that like made me so angry because even though I was a fruitarian back then, I realized that they were killing the people in the old people's home with like the food they were giving them. They were
Mm.
starving them so badly. It was like the worst form of malnutrition. They gave them basically nothing, like extremely small portions, and the stuff was like shit. I mean, for dinner they usually had like one slice of ham and a very little piece of bread with that, and then a cup of coffee, and that was it.
Yeah.
Like horrible stuff. And these old people were all so emaciated, really. And I feel like they do this on purpose, so they starve them, and they will be easier to take care of because they will basically just lie in bed when they are so starved, you know.
Mm.
And the people at the place will have less work to do. Also, when they starve them like that, they will die earlier.
Yeah.
So the government needs to pay the institution less money. It all makes sense. It's
Of
really
course.
horrible.
Yeah.
And I think that's also the point with these, anorexia clinics. I think they are actually trying to kill the people
Yeah.
there.
100%.
So
Yeah.
so so the government won't have to use any money on them again because, if they probably are like, yeah, these people with anorexia, they are all like mentally ill. And when they put you like at a clinic for mentally ill people, they got to keep you there for 10, 20 years. And that costs a lot of money.
Mm.
I mean, they prefer to kill you as quickly as possible.
They only give
Just,
them synthetic liquid stuff, or they give them food that absolutely unnatural that nobody would want to eat anyway. So these people who already have an eating disorder just can't eat all the shit. The only thing that would
yeah,
heal them would be natural food. So it's just impossible for them to eat that because their body is saying no. So
it's fucking ridiculous.
uh,
It's it's really horrible. And when you start seeing all of these things, and I saw through most of these things, these conspiracy things already as a vegan, and it scared me just so much. And it was like, yeah, I can't do anything. I just need to starve myself to death because there's no way of escaping them. And sometimes even now I feel that way. I feel like the whole society, the whole system is just so fucked up that it's really hard to protect yourself from it. Also, like with the Wi-Fi, I think Wi-Fi is so underestimated. I think it's so much more dangerous than people think. And in today's world, there's really no way you can protect yourself from
mm,
it. I mean, in every bus, in every restaurant, you have it.
true.
And so it's really like they're literally trying to kill us. And then you just start getting desperate and, yeah, like questioning it all. Is there even a point in trying to save our lives and save our health?
All right, man. Thanks for sharing this crazy journey.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I hope it might maybe prevent some people from making these same mistakes. But
Mm.
yeah, because there's really a lot that I did wrong.